We tested a number of bikes under £1,500 to see which ones performed best. The bikes were the Trek Stash 5, the Scott Scale 720 Plus, the Norco Fluid 7.1, the Cube Reaction GTC Pro, and the Marin Nail Trail 7. So this price point is really interesting when it comes to mountain bikes because you're starting to get to the amount of money where you can get some really good componentry choices coming in or a bit more money spent on the frame. So for example, we've got carbon fibre frames in there, we're getting one-by drivetrains, you're getting forks like the Yari, or you're getting full suspension packages which really perform well at this price point too. The Trek Stash 5 is one of the most interesting looking bikes in this test, for sure. What we have is 29 plus wheels. This is plugged into an alloy frame with an elevated chainstay which helps keep the chainstays nice and short, important when you've got such big wheels, and a carbon fork up front. The frame is nicely built and having a carbon fork in there is certainly a benefit, but what this does mean is that the rest of the componentry package is a little bit compromised. The big wheels roll over terrain really easily, and although we don't have suspension, it doesn't matter quite so much. The difficulty with it though is that you really have to be precise with your tyre pressures. If it's too low, then the bike can feel a little bit squirmy and doesn't feel great, but it does have a lot of traction. And if you have them too high, it's prone to pinging around on rocks and roots. So you need to really get a digital pressure gauge to make sure that when you're running it, it's working at its optimum for you. With its rigid fork, you do have to be aware that you're probably not going to be able to go full bore down rough, rocky trails. But so long as you keep the bike within its means, it's a really simple, fun, engaging ride, and one which we did enjoy riding on quite a wide range of trails. It is quite a niche bike, but if you know what you're getting into, you could really enjoy it. If you're looking for your first real mountain bike, then perhaps you might want to go for something a bit more conventional. The Scott Scale 720 Plus floats on 2.8-inch Schwalbe Rocket Run tyres. It's another plus bike in the test and one which we really enjoyed riding. We've always got on well with the Scott Scale frame. It's got great geometry for what really is a race bike, but feels a bit more like a trail bike. What really made the Scott stand out in terms of the competition was that despite having a relatively poor spec, especially the suspension fork, the Plus tyres help make the bike one which is comfortable, fast and engaging to ride. We've often found that cheaper forks don't have such great damping and great control, so when you add in the Plus tyres which take away some of the buzz from the trail, you end up having lots of grip and plenty of comfort at the same time, something which might be lacking on other cheaper bikes. We were slightly disappointed with the 2x10 Shimano Deal group set and the Suntour Radon fork on a £1,300 bike. That's something we'd expect to see on bikes well below £1,000. That said, Scott have proved that a bike can be more than the sum of its own parts, and we really enjoyed riding the 720 Plus. Most of the bikes in this test have been trail bikes, but the Cube Reaction is definitely a cross-country bike. For the asking price, Cube are providing a full carbon monocoque frame with a tapered head tube and 142x12 rear axle. The spec choices really complement the frame. The 2x11 group set is wide-ranging, so great for attacking hills and great for attacking descents as well. The RockShox fork is really nicely damped for the money, and the lightweight wheel set is shod in a very light and fast-rolling pair of tyres. They don't grip particularly well in the wet, but if you do want to go fast in the dry, then they're actually pretty reasonable. At this price, a lot of the bikes are coming with 1x drivetrains, and Cube have gone for a 2x. Some people will like this as it does give that extra range for steeper hills and longer rides. For us, we don't mind it so much on a cross-country bike, but certainly when it comes to trail bikes, and this bike is capable on the trail, we would quite like to see a 1x drivetrain. If you were to just look at the spec sheet, you might think that the Cube is just a race bike, but with a few subtle changes, it could be actually a flat-out trail bike too. The first thing we'd change is those tyres. Get rid of the hard compound fast rolling ones and stick something a bit softer and a bit grippier, and you could really make the most of what is actually a really competent spec. The Norco Fluid 7.1 is definitely the most capable full suspension bike in this test. Front and rear, you've got 120mm suspension provided by Fox, and there's a decent Shimano and SRAM drivetrain in there as well. Norco have used aluminium for the entire frame, as you'd expect at this price point, and it uses their ART suspension system, which is a 4x system. The spec is pretty good. You've got a nice shortish stem, wideish bars, so it's a real trail tamer. The one thing we would want to change though is that front tyre. In the UK, you might want something a little bit softer, a little bit more aggressive to make the most of the bike in wet, slippy conditions. In the UK, Norco are bought in exclusively by Evans Cycles. They're both available online and in stores, so the price here does change depending on when you're looking at it. Originally, the bike was a little bit too expensive for this test, but consistently it's reduced in price, so Check it out at your local store online if you do want to work out exactly how much it's going to cost. Marin's Nail Trail 7 is perhaps a little bit understated, but what it is a fantastic trail hardtail. The aggressively shaped bike comes with short stem, wide bars, slack angles, low BB, and there's also 2 wheel size options with the bike, so you get 27.5 or 29-inch options depending on your preference. The spec list from Marin is great this year as well. Up front there's a RockShox Yarry fork with a 15mm bolt-through axle. This is mated nicely to the bolt-through 142x12 at the rear. The drivetrain is also great. It's single ring, it's 11-speed, and there's a wide-ranging 11-42 cassette from Sunrace controlled by an SLX rear derailleur. And it's one of the very few bikes in this price point which comes with a dropper post. It's a Trans X model with 125mm of drop, and it's really great to see this on a bike at this price. The Schwalbe knobby nick and Racing Ralph tyre combo is fast rolling at the back and plenty grip enough at the front, although again compounds can be a little bit compromised at times. So this year Marin have produced a really competitive trail hardtail, and at 12.6 kilos it's plenty light enough too. If you're looking for an aggressive, fun, capable trail bike and you're not bothered about having full suspension, then we reckon the Marin could be a great buy. So those are the bikes, and to find out which is the actual winner, we're going to pass you over to Guy Kestervan.
This is the highest price category we're considering for a bargain trail bike of the year this year for What Mountain Bike. And with that comes bigger expectations and also the potential for designers to do something interesting. That's certainly the case with our leading bikes. On the more conventional side, Marin's new Nail Trail does a great job of packing everything you're probably looking for in a trail hardtail. They've got a 1x drivetrain on there, they've got the new SLX clutch rear mech, bolt-through axle front fork, and a dropper post, which is still a very rare fitment on any bike under £1,500. And it rides great too. It's got a nice simple paint job that brings out the simplicity of a 1x drivetrain, and it's a bike that's great to spend trail time on. There are more suspension options at this price point though, which is reflected in the bikes we've got on test and also our category winner. Because if you can get full suspension, you're getting more control, you're getting more confidence, you're getting less rear wheel punctures, you're getting more traction. All things which tend to make your mountain biking experience more fun, faster, safer, and well, back to more fun again, because there's not much better way of summing it up. And the clear winner here is Norco's Fluid 7.1 bike. In fact, it's such a clear winner we had to price check the category, but if you're buying it now, it did start the year more expensive, but right now it fits into our category, and that's impressive considering the spec. Box front and rear suspension, not just a QR fork either, you're getting a QR15 fork, stiffer, more secure. 120mm travel front and rear, it's the ART 4-bar system at the back, which pedals really well but still supports you through corners. And again, it's a suspension system where you're not really bothering massively about getting the pressure exactly right, or the you're not constantly going to be fussing with the pedal lockout either. You're getting reasonably wide bar, but not so wide you're going to be punching every tree you go past when you first get on the bike. Short stem to keep it nimble and responsive. Decent WTB tyres, front and rear. It's just a great all-round example of all the advantages suspension can bring to your trail riding in terms of confidence, speed and enjoyment, without any of the normal downsides of a compromised component spec or extra weight. Just a great bike and our clear overall winner in this category.
So there you have it, the Norco Fluid is the winner at this price point. We had an amazing time on this bike, it's loads of fun, it's super capable, so if you are looking for a trail bike for under £1,500, we'd thoroughly recommend it. If you're not too fussed about having a full suspension, maybe look at the Marin Nail Trail 7, and if you want something a bit more cross-country focused, you can't go too far wrong with the Cube. Other highlight bikes at this price point that didn't quite make it into the video but we have tested include the White 901 and the Vitus Escape. You can find reviews of those on BikeRadar.com.